Welcome to the Build a Purposeful, Profitable Business Doing What You Absolutely Love podcast, hosted weekly by me, Ange, your work from anywhere coach, professional copywriter, published author, and business owner of 20 years. In every episode, I will deliver useful insights to help you find your voice, position your value, demystify the marketing tech, and run your business on your terms. So come on in. Okay, welcome to this issue of the podcast. And today I have a special guest with me, Shawn Bayley, and he's here to talk about funnels. He's going to describe funnels and what are the 5 mistakes you want to avoid in your high converting funnel. All right. So Shawn, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on. I'm super excited to be here and to talk about this today.
Fantastic. Okay. So Shawn, just tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and your business and how you got started, perhaps first of all, and then we'll go into the 5 things to avoid.
For sure. Sounds good. For me, when I started out, my backstory is that I was essentially a new husband. My wife and I had gotten married, and we were doing okay. Life was pretty, we were just pretty average, but I really felt like I wanted more out of life. And it was, I just kind of got this entrepreneurial itch, and I would see, like little quotes on Instagram. People would post like nobody got rich by being an employee. And I just, the thought of just being a cubicle dweller and working, a job for 40 years, like I just wanted something more. So, I knew I didn't want to try and like open up a brick and mortar business, and I was learning a little bit about internet marketing, and it was like, okay, people are, online and making money. So let's, I kind of started pursuing that. And then very quickly I realized that I didn't know anything about like selling or marketing or copywriting or anything like that. But I started to learn about, GKIC and Dan Kennedy and Russell Brunson, and started learning more and more about it. And once I learned about the concept of a funnel, that made sense. That was very easy to work with. So I, would start building my own funnels in order to sell things, but I would have to hire copywriters. And then one time I paid for some sales copy and it wasn't very good. And I just said, all right, you know what? How hard can it be? I'm going to learn to be my own copywriter. I'm going to learn how to write sales copy. So that was kind of an adventure in itself. But the short version is that I went through all the process, got certified as a copywriter. So when people would approach me to build funnels for them, now I could offer, hey, I can build the funnel and I can write the sales copy for it. So it was really great. I turned into kind of a one-stop shop and just kind of did that for a while, was building funnels, writing copy. And just kind of by chance, I was in a Facebook group for copywriters, and I wound up hooking up with a fairly famous online guru who wanted copywriters to work with his clients and help them out with their offers and help them out with writing their copy. So I worked with him for a while and got to see inside what an actual 7-figure business is like coaching business. And I got to work with him, and eventually I wrote a book about it, and I'm going to kind of share some of the stuff in the book here today.
That's wonderful. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, just before you go into the rest of the information, I've got to ask you this because it is a question that I have been asked. What is a funnel?
So a sales funnel is basically a series of web pages that are designed to take your visitor through purchasing, and I don't want to make it sound so cold, but basically extract or get as much from them as you can when they're in a buying mood, right? People, they don't buy very often, so when they are with a sales funnel, you kind of have multiple opportunities to sell them. So on a web page, you go to a web page and there's going to be like a banner on the top and maybe a menu and some more buttons and things to click on. In a sales funnel, it's going to be very structured. It's going to be, if it's a lead generation funnel, they're only going to be able to click on like one thing. There's not going to be a bunch of footer links. It's designed to get an email address. For a sales funnel, the sales page, same type of thing. It's going to have the sales message, a button, or an order form, and it's just designed to sell the product. So that's about the best description I can give for a sales funnel.
Okay. So I think it's like I think people have probably experienced this in the past as well. They go in to buy something online. So there's an order form, they fill it out. And then sometimes there's what we call an upsell as well, right? So it's before you go, do you want this as well?
Exactly. And it really benefits business owners because if you are going to be using, say, paid advertising, and you're just selling, like, say, like your say, like a book, right? Your average order value is just going to be the price of that book until you start adding upsells. So, if your book is, say, $5 and you're buying ads and it only costs you $4 to get a customer, life is great. But if all of a sudden now Facebook changes, something goes on, competition, now it costs $6, $7, $8, then what? What do you do? So your sales funnel kind of helps with that because the more upsells, things you have in your funnel, the more you're going to shoot up that average order value.
Right.
And once you see it actually happen, and your average order value goes from like $5 to $50, now you don't care what Facebook's charging you for ads, right? If you have to pay $25 to sell a $5 book, you're fine.
Right. This is what they call like you're selling on the front end and you make the money on the back end, basically, right? They've purchased, you've got all your upsells and whatnot, and now you've got a customer list. So, selling more additional products to them, getting them to convert is much easier the second time than the first time. So. Exactly. Okay. So this is basically how the vehicle to sell online. It's this funnel, basically. So if anyone's running an online business, they will definitely need a funnel or two to set up at some point to sell their services, right?
Yeah, and my specialty and what we're going to kind of cover today is the high ticket funnels where you can really, really build that profit into your business.
Fantastic. Okay, so just to explain a little bit as well to the listeners, what do you mean by high ticket? What would we define as high ticket?
So with high ticket, I'm going to say that's anything over $1,000 that you're selling. It could be a course. It could be kind of a hybrid where it's a course and coaching. It could be just a group coaching type scenario. Or it could be, where it's a full done for you, your highest ticket, one-on-one, most intimate service, offered through a funnel there. Some people will call them like a high ticket funnel, an application funnel, a call funnel. And, those are the funnels there where you, like I say, where you can really build in the profit in your business. After you've kind of got your core offer, your course or whatever, you want to turn it into some type of high ticket offering by offering more access to yourself.
Okay. So these high ticket funnels, are they typically leading to a call all the time, or can you sell completely online?
It kind of depends on the price point. The higher the price point, the more likely you're going to have to, most people aren't going to shell out $4,000 or $5,000, $10,000 without talking to a human being. A lot of times people will have webinars or automated webinars and their price point is about $1,000. So that's why I say that's kind of the cutoff line. 1,000 and under, you can probably do it without talking to someone. But once you get over that, then you're in the high ticket funnel realm and they're going to want to talk to someone. But the way that we do that is, as I'll explain once we go a little further here, is a little bit tricky. I got some really interesting tidbits for you here.
Looking forward to hearing them. So let's move on to that then. What are these 5 things people need to avoid so they don't screw up their funnel?
For sure. So the first one is going to be the first mistake that people make, or high ticket coaches will make, is that they'll want to use what I call a traditional webinar. And what I talk about in my book and what I'm going to explain here and go into a little bit of detail is what I call a reverse webinar, because it's the opposite of a traditional webinar. And the reason why is that nowadays it just feels like people have a shorter attention span. So this reverse webinar gets to the offer quicker, and this way we find out like if the market even wants this offer. This way we don't have to worry about going and creating, like a traditional webinar, because I've created those in the past for clients, and those presentations can end up being hundreds of slides long. And with a reverse webinar, it's much shorter, much tighter, and it works a lot better as far as speed of execution.
So is it basically shorter as well in time?
Much shorter, and there's only certain key pieces to it, and I'll go over those here with you right now. The first thing out of the gate with a reverse webinar is that you want to present your offer. You want to immediately generate interest in the offer. We don't want to go into like a long intro or a story or anything like that. We want to put an offer in front of them that makes them essentially say yes or no, right? The benefit is clear. It's outlined to them. It's essentially one sentence. They completely understand it. And it's got to incorporate some type of element of time, because this is what's going to kind of build up the urgency and desire, is adding a time element, right? Like an example would be, a quick one would be like, if I offered to give you the body back that you had before you had your baby, would you take me up on that offer? Do you want that tight toned body that you had before you had kids without strict dieting, fasting, or nonstop cravings? Would you be interested in that? Right? It could be that kind of simple presentation of the offer.
Right.
So after we lay the offer out, the next slide essentially is going to be your authority. And this is a one-slide affair. We're not going into a 20-minute life story. We're just going to put down essentially why they should trust and listen to you, and we want to do it quickly, right? The story, the origin story, if you will, that comes into play in the funnel, but later on, like essentially in the email series after we've captured this person onto our list. After that, we want to talk about the big promise of the system. And we can do that with just a quick little, like my revolutionary new 6-figure accelerator method is what all my clients are using to quickly add $20,000 to $50,000 per month. So now they're like intrigued. Okay, there's a big promise, a system. We've used some type of unique mechanism. And now we kind of need to essentially, like, we've kind of come on pretty strong. So now we want to build some rapport, some relationship with them by doing it a certain way. When we say what we want to do is get them to agree with the problem that they face, and then we'll present the solution. And the way we do that is with some specific wording. We say something like, we all know, right? We all know that 80% of Americans are overweight. And then we qualify that statement, and by borrowing some expertise, we say, we all know 80% of Americans are overweight. In fact, according to Johns Hopkins University or Cedars-Sinai, or according to Forbes magazine, we want to leverage some expertise and go find some kind of leverage authority and go find some kind of stat, some kind of something that they know or they're aware of, but we just kind of make it a little bit clear and get them to go like, okay, this I agree with what this person's saying. And then after that, there's not much left. We're going to go into outlining the system. So whatever your process is, everyone's got some type of, steps or pillars or keys or whatever in their course or system. And then we just want to break those down into about 3 to 5 steps and outline the benefits of each step. So the way that we do that is, again, through kind of some specific wording. And we say, what the step is. So like step 1, we'll outline your ideal avatar and create your 10K per month offer. The next thing that we say is, when you do this right, because that's kind of a subconscious thing. Like if people hear you say, well, there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it, they're just immediately going to kind of perk up and be like, well, I want to know the right way to do it, because nobody wants to do it the wrong way, right? So by saying, when you do this right, you'll have a killer offer that your ideal client can't resist, and you'll have people practically begging you to take their money, right? So we use a little bit of specific wording in that to really build up the desire when it comes to outlining our system. And then after that, we want to show some testimonials, some proof, some results. We want to show that the system actually works and it has worked for other people. And then the last step in our presentation is going to be presenting the exchange, showing, okay, I'm taking on 10 new clients this month, but we don't want to use any kind of like fake scarcity or urgency. And it's really easy especially if you're doing coaching or high ticket coaching, there probably is only so many people that you can take on per month. Yeah. Right. And if you want to build in a little scarcity,
hours a day. Yeah.
Yeah. You can say, I've only got 4 spots left this month. If you don't hurry, you're going to have to wait until next month, right? And there's no, that way you're just being honest, and it's just, just honest, kind of pure scarcity.
Yeah.
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 So
I think that's an important thing, is not to have that scarcity be unrealistic, because people just aren't going to buy it, right?
Especially in the digital realm, you see people doing things like, especially with like an ebook or something like, oh, I don't know how many more copies I'm going to have left.
Yeah.
Let's be real here.
Oh, that's funny.
So that was a very condensed kind of basic breakdown of what I call the reverse webinar. But yeah, that's the first mistake, is don't waste months making a long webinar.
Okay. And then, so what would be the typical length of the webinar then, if it's shorter than, like previously they were like an hour to 90 minutes long, right?
Yeah, I've seen as short as 12 minutes. for some of these presentations that got it all done. Usually, and it's going to be in between about 10 to 20 minutes. If it's 30 minutes long, is that a problem? No, not really. I mean, if that's what it takes to get it done, but it's I would say no longer than that, because I've been on webinars that were 2 hours, and I mean, after the first 45 minutes, they're playing on your phone or opening some other tabs, or it's all about attention span and just getting it done and up. And
it's just respecting people's time as well, right? And everybody knows.
Yeah, and if your offer is good, they're gonna take action. They only need.
And I think as well, it's
be like, I want it.
Yeah, and I think the key thing here as well is targeting the right people, because if you've got the right people on, and they hear that offer, then they're going to stay, right?
Exactly.
You need to target the right people.
And it's fast. Like if you put it together, put it out there, and you're like, okay, people just aren't, signing up or booking calls or whatnot, then it's time to retool that offer. And you didn't spend months and months making a webinar, so pivot, move on.
Nice. Okay, that's a great tip. Okay, and then number 2?
So number 2 is they let everyone get access to their calendar. Anyone and everyone. They'll have the link to their calendar on Instagram or whatever. So my advice is don't set your funnel up that way. You want to use some type of intake form. Now, your intake form, you want to keep it to about 10 questions. The more questions you have, the less likely people are going to go through all the questions and actually fill it out. So you've got your presentation on your page. They come and there's the video. The intake form can be embedded on the page right below that. And then we want to have some type of message so that says, like, when they fill out the form, they get a message that says, okay, we're going to be in contact with you in the next 24 hours. Now, I'll talk a little bit more about that particular wording and it's one of the other tips here. But the reason is we don't want to fill our calendar just to have it full with people, because you want to fill it with people who are more likely to convert, to more likely to become clients. Like I think it would be better to talk to slightly less people who are more qualified than just jamming your calendar with a bunch of people, especially if you've got closers working for you, people who are just dedicated to getting on these calls and getting these people to become clients, and they just keep getting hit with all these people who are less qualified. It's just going to kind of burn them. So, your intake form is going to get some really valuable data. You can find out the things like what's been holding them back, what hasn't worked before, what do they want, and you'll see kind of layers of what they want. Like, oh, I want to lose weight. Well, do you want to lose weight, or is it you want to lose weight because you've got 3 kids, you realize you're not as active as you once were, you want to be around for all of them? There's a deeper reason to it, but they might put it in the form, they might not, but this is the kind of information you want to have either for yourself or your closer before they get on that call.
Okay, cool. Yeah. All right. So basically, don't put your calendar on the funnel at that stage, right? Just get them to fill out the form and you will be in touch with them.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay, cool. All right, what's the next mistake?
So mistake number 3 is talking to people who aren't pre-sold. So on that intake form that we just talked about here, is you want to have an entry on there, and this one is going to save you a lot of time and aggravation, because you can literally get them to tell you what they want to buy. So your intake form is going to have one question, and it's literally going to say, which option would fit you best? And there's 4 choices. Number 1, it says, I'm not able to invest right now. And that's fine. I would rather have somebody tell me that than get on a call with me, and then we find out the hard way, because I've been on calls, and I promise there is nothing more awkward for everyone involved than getting on a call with someone who has no idea what your price is.
Yeah.
Go through the entire call. You talk to them for half an hour. They're like, yeah, this is awesome. I want in this program. And then you tell them the price, and they get sticker shock and like, oh, that's so much money. And then it just, it turns into either awkwardness or crickets or whatever. So having this item on your intake will completely eliminate that. So, sorry, 4 options. First option, I'm not able to invest, and that's okay, because all you're going to do is reply back to them with an email saying like, oh, okay, here's, hey, I've got this other product that might be more in your price range, or maybe an affiliate product, right? Like there's a way to kind of capitalize on that.
Right.
Option number 2 is, say, do it yourself. So that's your $500 course, where they get just the course but no access to you. They can go through it, do it themselves. And we want these numbers. We want these prices on this intake form. Option number 3 is done with you. They $4,000, and it's the course plus the group coaching element. You get to access them each week, questions answered, all that kind of stuff. And then the 4th option is the done for you. Your highest tier, it's $15,000, and I will do everything for you. right? It should be almost an obscenely high price for that. Because with those ones, you can only do so many of those. If it's one-on-one, that's going to be the most time intensive. So might as well get paid a lot to do it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So it's basically giving them the information up front before they get involved with you, so that they can make an informed decision. They know what they're getting into before the call.
Yes.
They're qualified, so you haven't got any awkward silences.
And you don't have to worry about what to you're not trying to pitch them on a $15,000 offer when they're like, you know what would be great is the done with the 4,000, right?
And that's the thing as well, is that you get different people at different stages of the buying journey, and some people are quick decision makers and they've got the money, and it's like, do you know what? I just want the 15,000. How do I pay? So you get people like that, right? And then other people will be, I'm not quite sure what I'm looking at the moment. So it's just knowing that when you've done that pre-qualification and you get the people on, it isn't a sales call, right? Because as you mentioned, they're already sold, right?
Yeah. It makes it a lot easier. And you can literally open with like, okay, you've seen all my stuff. Is this something you want to take action on now or something later? And that just even that question right at the start, because they're like, well, maybe next month. Okay, cool. Let's reschedule that. And then you're not sitting there going through a half-hour call. It's a different level of conversation when you have this type of intake question in place.
Right. Nice. Okay, so pre-qualifying people before they get on the call, really important, because it doesn't waste your time. Doesn't waste your caller's time. Yeah. Okay. All right. So secret number 4.
Item number 4. So item number 4 is that they don't use the power of positioning to make clients literally beg to work with you. So earlier when we talked about, so they fill out the form and there's a message that says we will email you in 24 hours. So we can also in our intake form, we have a question that gets them to say what they want to buy. Then we also have a question where we flip it around on them, right? Because they're thinking, well, this coach needs me, and we actually turn around. So it's like, no, actually, you need me more than I need you. And we say on our intake form, we have a question that says, why should I take you on as a student? And just have an open paragraph. They can type as much or as little as they want. And when when they fill it out, we want to say, watch for an email from us, and you'll know within the next 24 hours if you've made it to the next round. Because now it's like American Idol or something, right? They're auditioning, and they're like hoping, like, oh my gosh, I hope I make it to the next round. And I'll tell you a quick story about this, because I was like, when I was learning from my mentor, I was like, really? Does this work? This type of positioning thing? And he says, oh yeah. He whips out his phone and he's showing me screenshots. So a person had come on, they watched the presentation, they filled up the intake form, and about less than 5 minutes later, they went and tracked down my mentor on Instagram. They started sending him direct messages. They sent him several emails. Literally, like, the things are like, I want to work with you. I will be a good client. Please let me join your program. And so I'm looking at the picture and reading through it, and there was some back and forth. He got sent a link, and he paid the $4,300 in full just because of the positioning. Because he was like, "Oh, I really want to make it to the next round. I can be a good student." Like it was amazing. I was completely sold. I was like, "Wow, positioning, amazing."
Yeah, I've seen that done. Yeah, it's very effective. Yeah. Okay, so positioning is everything, right? It really does help the sale. You're not selling; they're selling themselves to you.
Yeah, Tim, get them to say, I'll be a good student. I'm willing to show up. I'll work hard. I'll take instruction, and it can, a nice simple one, like, why should I take you on as a student? Why would we be a good fit? So
love it.
Flip it around on them, and you'll be amazed to see how people, want to be. It's like when people audition, like when there's on the high school basketball team, there's only so many spots, right? And people, they're trying out because they want to get on there. So it's kind of it's similar to that, but when you flip it around on them, it's very powerful.
Love it, fantastic. And then the last one.
So the last one is to that they don't use some type of what I call an authority builder. So one of the things I use is a book, because I think it's one of the best ways to show that you're an expert, you're an authority on something. And you can use that book, like we have to provide traffic to our high ticket funnel some way, shape, or form, whether it's through our email list or buying paid traffic, organic traffic, we're going to do Instagram posts, whatever we're going to do, but we need to feed that high ticket funnel. So instead of feeding it with people who, are essentially cold leads or cold traffic or whatever, if we set up another funnel, a book funnel in advance where we just sell our book for, $5, $10, whatever it is. And now these people, they've been exposed to you, they've been exposed to your words, your language, your system. When you get on a call with someone who's bought your book or read your book or your mini course or whatever, some type of authority builder can be, it could be a mini course as well. But now you're having a different conversation with these people because they've had you've given them value in advance, and now it's, they've cracked open their wallet and they bought from you. So now you're not trying to convert a cold lead. You're, showing someone who's already a customer how they can get even more help from you. Right? So when I did my book, because I know a lot of people are like, oh, I can't write a book. Well, I didn't want to write a book either. So all I did was just kind of outlined it in a certain way. And then I sat down and did kind of like this. I put on my headphones and I had like my notes on those little like 3x5 recipe cards and just, like kind of almost like bullet points. And then I would go and, kind of talk similar to like what we're doing right now and just talk about certain points. And I essentially talked myself a book. And it took me about 10 days to do the entire process. I spent about 2 days outlining it, about 7 days, 8 days recording it. And then after that, once I had all the recordings and whatnot, I was able to get those transcribed. And I had this big blob of text. And the great thing is you go to Fiverr or Upwork or one of those places, and there's people who will edit and turn it into a functional, readable book in a fairly short turnaround time. Yeah. And then boom, I had this book. All I had to do was just get a cover made and I talked myself a book. And now I've got, I was able to launch it to my list. I was able to make some YouTube videos pointing to it. And, now I've got this, this piece of authority. So once people come through the book funnel, buy the book, check it out, then they're going to start getting emails from me pointing them over to watch the high ticket funnel presentation. Right. So the two kind of tie together and one feeds the other essentially.
Right. So basically what you're saying is you have this book funnel first to position you as an authority. People have already consumed that, so they're warm to you at that stage. So they're more likely to accept coming into a high ticket funnel what they're going to pay. They're already bought on the system, right? They've read the book, they're bought on the system. It's like, okay, well, I don't know how to do this myself. I'll pay for some guidance, right?
Exactly, and
then they have the different levels of how they can be helped based on your form, right?
Exactly, and I mean the book. It could be like for all the parts that are in the book, like that could be broken into say 3 videos into a mini course, right? It could be maybe it's just a really short workbook, like a PDF workbook, right? Something that gives them, positions you as an authority, but also gives them value in advance, and gets them. And it doesn't have to be a lot. It gets them to spend $5, $6, $7, $9 type thing. Something where they're like, oh, this is so small. Like, it's a ridiculous bargain. I have to get this. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So,
there's no real risk. They're not going to miss $9, right? So
exactly. But it positions them as a buyer. So now you're dealing with someone else. So someone who's not afraid to, whip up the credit card.
Pay online. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay. Yeah. So I think this is really insightful because, you've got to deal with people's psychology and the way people buy, and things change over time. As you mentioned, when you had funnels in the past where the webinars were really long, and people now know and they recognize that system, right?
Absolutely.
So they don't want to sit and listen to you talk about your life story and your downs and how it all, I've been on webinars and I've seen people typing into the chat, get on with it, get on.
Oh yeah, and especially the first section of it is like, okay, let's go into your backstory, and it'll be slide after slide of the story, and you'll be like at the 20-minute mark, and you're like, okay, can we get to the meat of this thing already?
Exactly, yeah. I mean, they're signed up because they were promised something to learn, right? So when you don't deliver that, Yeah.
And they're not new. People know it's not a free presentation. It's a free pitch at the end of a presentation. Yeah. So with this one, by leading with the offer, like we're saying, hey, we've got this thing. It's a solution to your problem. Are you interested?
Yeah, exactly. And then you're just not wasting anyone's time. Yeah. I love it. Fantastic.
Awesome.
Okay, Shawn. So if people wanted to know a bit more about this, or they're sold on getting a funnel, where's my alarm? They're sold on getting a funnel done for them, or they want some help in building it, how would they reach out to you?
Yep. They can get more info about me and get a hold of my book, where I actually go into a lot more detail about the reverse webinar. I pulled a bunch of the pieces from this presentation today, or from our interview today, from the book there. And it's just over at highticketfunnelsecrets.com. The book's called High Ticket Funnel Secrets. Not only do they get the book over at High Ticket Funnel Secrets, they will get the book plus 5 additional bonuses. So be careful if you go over there. I make it pretty much impossible not to buy the book from me.
Okay, that's it for this episode. And if you've enjoyed it, then just press like and share it with others and subscribe so that you don't miss an episode in future. I would love to have you back. You can also check out my offers on angedove.com. That's ANGEDOVE.com. And if you'd like to inquire about coaching with me just to get that business built and fast track your success in doing that, then you can get on a call with me, and that's at angedove.com/apply, APPLY. I'd really love to speak to you on the call.